Thank you, Dr. Batra, for inviting me. Again, I'm not a finance professional, and this keynote should have been by Mr. Ravi Sethuratnam, who is going to address you at a later date. At the later part of this program. I think he's addressing you in the afternoon, and much of the things that I've learned from him and the professionals like you. I'm basically practicing CXO or CEO and come from the manufacturing, marketing, and sales background. I would like to first of all compliment and congratulate BW Group and specifically the BW CFO World for organizing this conference and putting together this award. As is the case with BW Group, each of the awards or each of the events are reinvented again and again, and I'm certain that today's program also will be a unique one. I will dwell first on what's really happening in the world and in India in particular. So we are very clear that the GDP growth will be somewhere between 6.1 to 6.5, more like 6.5 I suppose, though the latest forecast says it is 6.1, and despite the ongoing conflict in the Middle Eastern region, I think we will deliver that. There is a clear agreement among the stakeholders, not only the government, the businesses and the CEOs, CFOs, that it is India's decade, and there are a lot of good things happening, and we can take pride in the fact that we are part of this particular decade where India is poised to shift an orbit and play a major role as one of the emerging economies in the world. Many structural changes are taking place, and I will deal with some of them which are unprecedented, and specifically the 40 and other young CFOs will benefit from understanding this. Much of it calls for even unlearning what we had learned in the past. One big change we are witnessing is the de-globalization. Though it is not acknowledged, it is very clear that the globalization as we know is no longer existing, and I am not seeing that coming back. Professionals like me benefited from globalization in terms of my own career growth. Many of us in that era, and the companies made wealth. We learnt a lot, and India benefited. Unfortunately, I don't think that is going to exist. The protectionism and the trade and non-trade barriers, despite WTO and other entities playing their role, the reality is it is going to be a different world altogether. The new supply chain ecosystem, therefore, is a different one, and CFOs, much more than money, may have to worry about the supply chain itself. You may have money, but it is very likely that still you won't be able to either get the goods that you want or connect to the world. Though India has an ambition that we will connect to the global supply chain, and I am not sure how it is going to take place. That's a big structural change all of us are fighting with. And the manufacturing, for many decades, it wasn't growing, and it was less than 17% of our GDP, and it became a services dependent economy with more than 50% of the businesses or the GDP coming from services. That seems to be changing, and manufacturing investments have come up. Quite a few uh, quite a few enterprises are thinking big in manufacturing, but I can say across the country, huge investments taking place, reasonably good size after a long gap. That also is a challenge from CFO's point of view, which I will tell you that in a little while I will deal with the talent shortage in the finance professionals category itself, and how this manufacturing services also is going to play an important role. The post-pandemic, it was believed that India will play a very major role in manufacturing, and I do not know how the word China plus one got coined, and we all took for granted that that plus one is India, and therefore it is going to take place. And the reality seems to be different across various sectors, that we still have a long way to go in connecting with the world. It is not everyone in the world is, or the global supply chain managers are waiting for India to deliver. There are huge gaps out there, and a lot of work needs to be done. There again, CFOs will have a role. I will deal with it. While Make in India is a laudable initiative, and it has gained traction, investments are flowing in, new hopes, new horizon, and the free trade agreements are being talked about. In many cases, it is under conclusion. India's own position not to be part of certain other trade agreements like RCEP, and the geopolitical stances that are being taken. My personal view is that the right balance between what we will make in India and what we will depend on has to evolve. I do not think in quite a few cases there is even a business case for Make in India. So we live in an environment where quite a few tariff, non-tariff barriers are being slammed, and whether it is in the long-term interest of the country, we do not know, because this growth is unprecedented, and I think we are learning while doing the things. So there could be some changes happening there. The PLI as an instrument was very effective in quite a few sectors. It did miracles, and therefore the assumption of, or the desire of many industries to be depending on PLI and PLI alone will make us globally competitive, that is no longer true, and the government has rightly decided there are no more PLIs, and that era is over, which means one will have to reorient towards this non-PLI led and building competitiveness for competing globally. The clear message across many sectors, where the Confederation of Indian Industry has been working on these, many other agencies have tracked these. The penetration gaps in quite a few sectors will change, and which means it is going to be consumption-led growth. That is very clear. And at a very rapid pace, the tier 3, 4, 5 rural economies will begin to consume many categories, which means the growth is coming from aspirational middle class. So the India's future growth is dependent on consumption by aspirational middle class. And growth is going to come from tier 3, 4, 5 towns. Growth is going to come from MSMEs. In this particular context, the value proposition of the companies, whether it is products or services, may have to dramatically change. In other words, It is those affordable products and services which are going to drive the growth of the companies. So the India Inc. will have to reorient itself to providing those affordable products and services. In the time period, more than 15 years, it was also China which helped us to keep the costs down, whether it is as a full product or as a component. And even if you would have sourced from Europe, it would have been from a Chinese input. The clear understanding is that quite a bit of products emanated from China in some form or other. Even in logistics, they dominated. Now, as we disconnect from China in terms of sourcing through tariff, non-tariff barriers, how will one go ahead and make the product affordable to feed the growth? I mentioned it's a market which is going to ask for affordable products, and we do have a compulsion to bring down the costs. And you are also trying to connect with the global value chains, and while it is not yet ready, we do have an opportunity to be that one of the China plus one. There are multiple issues there. The number one is connected with the quality standards. Since manufacturing was not a focus area, barring a few industries, that quality movement was not intense enough to be playing that role in the global value chain. China learnt it, and we had forgotten that, is my view. We need a new quality movement to put ourselves on a platform where the global players would want to source from you. The second part is there is absolutely no way we will be able to compete with China because of the scale itself. That I can tell you about the air conditioners industry. India's market size crossed 8 million units last year. This year probably it will be 9.5 million units. China's market size 2022 is 87 million units. And China produced for themselves and rest of the world 120 million units. So India with a 8 million to 9 million market size to be competing with China, which is 120 million units they produce, with a domestic market size of 85 million units. If air conditioners industry wants to be a global player, so you can imagine it's a complete mismatch, which again, the component ecosystem is not there. It is still China-led component ecosystem. So a PLI scheme was introduced, and manufacturing capacities have come in, but then that scale gap will still keep you costlier, and you have to go ahead and build competitiveness through many elements, including quality, which I mentioned. Now, in this context, if India has to play a role, it has to come through innovation and R&D, that we can deliver a superior solution, a breakthrough technology, in which case you will be sought after. We do have the capability, but unfortunately, you know there that our R&D investments, India is at some point 6.2% of GDP, compared with 2.5 to 3% of any developed economy, including China. And if you plot the R&D investments and the GDP growth across the countries over the past 50 years, you will clearly figure out economies grew when the R&D investments were higher. So there is whether it is Korea, whether it is Japan, whether it is Europe, whether it is United States and China, you will see the R&D investments went up when the GDP was growing. So this has not changed yet. It is now the cabinet took some decision, and again private sector investments are poor there in terms of R&D. It is still government-led R&D investments, and we have, unfortunately, within CI we debate this as well, that we have reduced it to whether we will get 200% depreciation. We are not looking at value proposition or competitiveness, and which is if I invest in R&D, I am definitely going to grow my business or improve my profitability. That part is not being realized. We are bringing it an advocacy issue of whether there will be a tax concession in the form of 200% depreciation. That's one example. But I'm coming back to this point. We are well poised for growing, and we are taking for granted this growth will happen. And while I agree it is India's decade, I think there are quite a few other things that will have to fall in place in order to build that competitiveness for even domestic market. We have to reinvent ourselves to provide those affordable products and solutions and deal with this. So when I come back to this, it is about 2 decades ago. C.K. Prahlad, we are proud of having interacted with him in India quite often. He has spoken in many forums, and he has helped Indian industry in a number of respects. Unfortunately, he is no more. But 2 decades ago, he made this point, and in fact, he went on repeating this. The fortune at the bottom of the pyramid, that we have to look at those as consumers of the future, and that is what will drive. So that has come true. Our growth is going to come from there. And he was urging at that point of time that what we will do for rural development, what we will do for helping them to become consumers, and that will help the country. And this is the real situation now. The second part of his pet theme used to be that only innovation and creativity will differentiate and make us larger players in the globe. So that point of a time, IT industry was growing, and he was urging manufacturing industry that look, invest in R&D, figure out how you can go ahead and play this, because it is not going to happen in the rest of the world. You will be able to do that. So that is true today. If we want to compete with China, whichever is the category, you take ballpoint pens, you take paper, you take pencils, anything you take, that scale is formidable if we want to compete with them. And in that context, it is only an R&D which can, or innovation can help us to do. The third part of his, much before the so-called ESG as a terminology came into being, he was very clear that the sustainability as an agenda should be looked at, and that's what will differentiate the winners and the losers. Now I come back to the topic that I'm supposed to speak. One is about the scale, and the scale that we are witnessing in every aspect is distinctly different. I know that India Inc. at the CEO level is trying to understand this and recalibrate ourselves in terms of opportunities that we have ahead and what we need to do to cope with this scale. Take for example the manufacturing industry. We have been looking at factories which are, some 10 acres used to be a big factory, and it wasn't uncommon in India that to look at some Pondicherry, there is a concession, some Dadra, Silvassa and Jammu, Sikkim, and migrate as gypsies not thinking about creating large factories because demand was not there. So today, the visibility of demand is there, access to capital is there, and of course, the financing costs are still higher compared with the global costs. The scale which we have to look at is distinctly different. In the process, the manufacturing industries came up in their own way, because you could not benchmark our manufacturing units with what is there in China or Japan or Europe or US. That is no longer going to serve the purpose if we want to cope with this scale. Obviously, the scale is different. Your factories are not designed for that. The companies like even ours that we created over the years, because you don't want to invest, the demand is coming, slowly create 1, 2, 3, and for a 8,000 crore company, some 7 factories is not required at all. That isn't the way one should be doing, but we were compelled to do so. But today, if there is a greater visibility of what is going to happen in future, even the manufacturing capacities have to be reimagined. The second part is connected with the investments that we will make on even look at digitalization. It was a big cost item slowly we were doing, and it is very important now to accelerate those investments. What we thought even 18 months ago, that the AI will come one day, but the thing is, it is happening now, that AI for business and growth is a reality, and we need to go ahead and invest. And we have to invest in cyber security. So the digitalization related investments in quite a few companies may have to be even higher than 2.5% of the revenue or so. The R&D I mentioned, if we want to be successful, the Indian private sector R&D is, other than pharma, invests a lot in R&D. It is less than 0.2% of the revenue is the average. Ironically, since I come from consumer durables industry, the board looked at advertising expenses as a percentage of revenue. R&D in quite a few companies were looked at, but it was not. Now the metrics may have to be what is the R&D investment, what is the digitalization investment, and what is the investment that is needed for R&D. So the metrics is expanding into, these are not discretionary in nature. We need to do these investments in order to derive the benefits of the growth that is visible. The growth comes with investments. So that's important for you as CFOs or finance professionals. The other part is connected with speed. That as I was driving down to the hotel, I was thinking that when I began my career in 1979, it was almost 8 months it used to take for the accounts to be closed. That was true even in 80s. The accounts used to be closed in so many branches, and the factories, it will be consolidated. By the time it is declared and the AGM happens, 8 to 9 months, and we have come a long way into that. And I think even more speed may be required, like many companies are doing. Within 10 days, 15 days, the quarterly results are done with. And we all suffer from this. The thing is, once a quarter has ended, till the accounts are closed and the board meeting is over, in my view, it is an unproductive period. Somebody is occupied with something. So how fast I'll be very happy in 10 days that is done with and you are focusing on. So this is one of the painful areas. The planning for the capital and getting the capital and closing it it is possible today to do, whether it is NCD or a QCO. Regulatory frameworks are stronger, but within that, how fast this can be closed without dragging on for time. From the time you decide to set up a factory and to go ahead and commission that factory, it is easily possible today to do within 12 to 18 months of time. Given that the cost of capital is very high compared with global rates, we will benefit by cutting short that time. An IT implementation, there is still 25 to 30% time can be reduced there. And most importantly, that one of the painful areas which we will deal with, and we are going to deal with for quite a lot more time, is the talent shortage. From the time you decide to recruit and the time you have a person on board, in CFO's case, I think we have a huge shortage, and it is good for you all. You have a huge opportunity, and my estimate is, only yesterday I was mentioning, if 10 CFOs are needed, I think we have only 5 CFOs. That may be on the optimistic side is my view. The country is not having enough finance professionals to cope with this growth. In a framework that will evolve in terms of regulations and many other things that are to be done by the company and discharged by the CFOs. So therefore, speed, I'll come back to this point again in terms of talent shortage. And the smart part of it, I told you, clearly 1 year ago, I would have foo-fooed AI. It is some IT company is trying to sell something, but AI for business growth, profitability improvement, and customer engagement is a reality. We need it, and we should have started working. Even in Blue Star, I end up saying that we should have begun our work 1 year earlier instead of waiting for. So that what more is going to come, we don't know. And the ESG, I have a different view. I think we all derailed with that terminology, and I will be controversial. I don't want to deal with it. And but all that I can say is that the nations, the businesses, boardrooms, consumers can relate more to net zero and carbon footprint than ESG. So and we should look at it from the point of view of whether it is helping my business. It's not from the point of view of raising a finance, whether it will help my business. And there is business case in quite a few net zero initiatives, that whether it is today renewable adds to your bottom line, circularity, waste to wealth, it is integral part of profitability improvement, and that is sustainable in nature. The most important thing is whether net zero missions or net zero objectives can open up a business opportunity for the businesses to pursue that. Like even in air conditioning, if we are wanted in Europe or wanted in United States, is because we can develop air conditioning, refrigeration solutions that can help decarbonize, that can, whether it is in heating of air or heating of water or cooling. So energy efficiency improvement, decarbonization should be also looked at as a business opportunity, how we can invest in and grow those businesses. That's how it should be looked at. Coming back to the scale or the speed and the smart, sustainable future for the businesses, you can imagine what kind of talents will be required across the value chain, specifically this being a summit pertaining to finance professionals, how equipped finance professionals are. So one complaint I have, it may not be applicable for all the firms. I think we have to create versatile finance professionals, because someone is starting career in the direct taxation, he continues and becomes a direct tax specialist forever, or indirect taxation, or finance planning, or to do with accounts or treasury. If we have to meet the demand for the CFOs that are needed in the country, I think we have to quickly rotate people, and yes, there will be some difficulty in rotating people, and you as professionals who are younger, who have dreamed to become CFOs, also should insist you will not do the same job forever. This may be an important thing to do. The next part is the CEOs have to come to terms with this, that I think the salary levels have gone up dramatically, and it was an era of marketing professionals for many decades that their salary levels went up very high, and I think we need to go ahead and come to terms with that. Their good CFOs are not available for the money that one will be able to pay, whether it is the nomination remuneration committees or the CEOs or the business owners have to realize this, that the CFOs will have to be paid more. But if you deserve that higher pay packet, you have to raise the bar to deliver that. And the CEOs are in great demand, and if you talk to headhunters, the most difficult recruitment they will have is to hire a CFO, and that's the reality. Of course, manufacturing, same problem is there. Till now we are poaching from here and there and managing, but some point of a time that may not be possible. The good news is we are in the right place. In no other country this kind of optimism will be there, and I spend most of the time in deliberately in tier 3, 4, 5 towns, and since the growth is coming from there, and that's where the future of enterprise like ours will lie. So you will find in quite a few towns, it is 8 years ago a vice president visited will be the story, or a regional head, because we all believed that some WhatsApp and email or phone call will solve the problem, but it is important to connect with those places, and which means also quite often I wonder, there is no reason for us to be here in Mumbai at all. If you look at advertising companies will be sent here or the NCR, but the activity is shifting to some other place. And equally, in that new market environment, the controls that you may have to bring in, and this is my last point, watch out for this. Whenever growth has happened, there had been governance issues across the globe, and you will have frauds happening, and therefore as CFOs you shoulder that responsibility to handle that. And when the market spread out to these places, factories spread out to these places, how you are going to be creating that architecture, you need much more people. And with those words, you are in an exciting era of the transformation that is happening, and it indeed belongs to below 40. I think you have the ability to unlearn and learn than the experienced ones. All the best to you, to the winners and those who were shortlisted, who participated. May God bless you.